Hi everyone. So it's been a while since we've talked about my good friend Matthew Hussey. I mean that as a joke. I'm not actually good friends with him. I don't know him personally. I've never met him. I have nothing against him personally. And so I thought it was about time that I did a video about him again. Um, and I think some of you might feel that I'm a little bit hard on him, that I'm unnecessarily critical. And you might wonder, why I've chosen to critique or analyze what he's doing and why I have a problem with it. And I just want to point out that everything that I say is my opinion and my impression of what I'm seeing and my interpretation of what I'm seeing. And if you find something that, his content to be helpful, I'm not here to take that away from you. But I do just want to point out Matthew Hussey has a massive platform. As far as dating coaches go, he is about as big as you get. He has well over 1 million subscribers. I haven't checked his latest subscriber count, I don't really care. But I know that he has a huge following. There are people who hang on his every word and who take his advice as kind of gospel. And this is a man who has no mental health training, no therapy licensing, no actual formal coaching training or formal qualifications to be advising people whatsoever. He is a self-proclaimed expert. And frankly, as I've pointed out in other videos, I see massive problems with his advice, and I see an even bigger problem with the fact that there isn't enough criticism of him and people like him. Aside from the odd, small voice here and there, no one is talking about this guy really, and how problematic his advice can be, and how potentially harmful it can actually be. And my objective in doing these types of videos is to point out the contradictions and the manipulations and the subtle problems in what he's saying that might not be obvious at first. It's very easy to listen to one of his videos and at first glance it feels all great, and it tugs on your emotions in just the right places, and it makes you feel, perhaps warm and fuzzy. And you might wonder, if you're trying to follow his advice, why it's so difficult to follow, or why it doesn't seem to be effective, why you don't seem to be getting results. And I feel that it's my job, as someone who does see through a lot of what he's saying, I feel that it's my job to point out why what he is saying is problematic. So I want to be fair, and I don't want to just pick and choose his content at random and only look at the problematic stuff. So what I did is I went over to his channel and I simply took the most recent video that he's done. I haven't watched it. I'm completely blind reacting to this video. And I just want to see what he has to say. And I can assure you, if there's something that I think is really valuable and, which is really good content, I will point it out. But I have spent a lot of time analyzing the advice of people like him, and where I see that his advice is veering off into very vague, confusing, or problematic territory, I will point that out as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch the video. The video is called "The Secret to Meeting High Value People." And I have to say, when I went over to Matthew Hussey's channel, I couldn't help but notice that the titles of his videos seem to be getting more and more clickbaity. They're just, if you want to see what I mean, just go head over to his channel and look at the titles of the last sort of 20 videos that he's done. His videos have always had a clickbaity kind of feel to them. but it seems to me, it seems to be getting worse with time. And I also have a massive problem with the title of this video right off the bat: The Secret to Meeting High Value People. Okay, well, first of all, it's not a secret. We meet people all the time, and whether they are high value or low value is really a matter of opinion, I suppose. So there's no real secret to meeting people. People are all around us all the time. And the other massive problem I have with this title is the words high value people. Now, who determines what a high value person is? This is one of these really nebulous concepts. A high value person. Is it a person who's really good looking? Is it a person who's really wealthy? Is it a person who is really well connected and influential? Someone who's famous? Is it, or is it a person who's going to make a brilliant partner? Something tells me that when Matthew Hussey says high value people, he's not talking about, you know, kind, empathetic, compassionate, decent people. He's talking about people who have, you know, superficial markers that perhaps some of us would consider high value. And I see this as a big problem in the dating coaching world. They're catering to clients and audience members who want to meet someone who's traditionally regarded as high value, someone really good looking, someone really wealthy, and all this kind of thing. And coaches like Matthew Hussey, every now and again, they'll really play into this desire of their audience. And the cold hard fact of the matter is that a wealthy, good-looking person, those types of people are not any better, are not necessarily good partners. How wealthy or good-looking someone is says absolutely nothing about their ability to treat you well and their ability to have a healthy relationship. So let's see what Matthew Hussey defines as a high-value person, or if he even does define it. I suspect he probably won't, because it's a very kind of contentious idea, the idea that some people are more high value than others. I find that concept rather grotesque, actually. And it's disappointing when I see coaches playing into this really superficial notion that exists in some parts of our society, that some people are high value and others are low value. In my opinion, human beings all have exactly the same value, and we all have exactly the same rights, and we all deserve to be here. We're all high value, and I think when we start categorizing people into low value and high value, this is where we get self-esteem problems. And by using this term, high value people, Matthew Hussey is playing right into those, those problems that a lot of people have with their self-worth, especially women, but men too, I suppose. And I really, really hate it. I hate this concept of high value and low value people. I mean, what does it even mean? It's awful. So let's go ahead and listen to the video, or watch the video, I should say.
Want these beta guys who are caretakers and take the back seat, but you may be comfortable with those guys. You said, I have noticed I tend to attract gentlemen who ask me out who are beta. So that already implies a little bit of a hang back and wait kind of thing. Like, I'm not going
to... Okay, so many problems with what he said, and we are only 29 seconds in. And I know that he is obviously just responding to someone else's question, but merely the fact that he's used this word beta guys, I know he's quoting the person asking the question, but let me just explain for those of you who are unaware. There's a whole you know, section of people generally called like the manosphere, who classify men as either alpha or beta. And alpha men are supposed to be these go-getters, really successful, really super confident, good looking, kind of almost arrogant, cocky kind of guys who go after what they want, that sort of thing. They're supposed to be seen as really desirable by women. And then beta guys are sort of the more of the nice guys, the guys who are more you know, concerned with treating women well, who are more kind and more passive, and maybe not passive, but like who aren't as arrogant. They're just more kind of willing to please women. And there's a whole negative connotation around beta men and a whole positive connotation around alpha men, which is so problematic. It warrants, an entire series of videos that I'm not even going to delve into that, because I think, to me, the problems with seeing men that way and classifying men that way is really obvious. But let's carry on listening to what Matthew Hussey has to say about this.
To be proactive in going and asking someone out or trying to make something happen with someone that I'm attracted to, I'm going to hang back and see who's attracted to me. And then you're not happy with who's coming over to you. So that to me almost, sometimes over the years, I've been doing this for 15 years now. Over the years, I've dealt with a lot of people who feel like they're always attracting the wrong people. But what I later find is that those are the people they feel comfortable with. So they don't want to stick their neck out to talk to someone or try to attract someone who's more challenging or maybe doesn't need them as much. Or
Oh my God, I really hate what he is saying so much. This is so problematic, and it just horrifies me if women are listening to this. This idea that there's something wrong with waiting for someone to ask you out, that that implies that you're being passive and that you're just wanting to stay in your comfort zone, and that this is somehow wrong or ineffective in some way. He is so, so, so wrong about that. It is a really, really good thing to put your energy into people who are putting their energy into you. He's talking about going after someone who's a bit more challenging, who doesn't seem to need you as much. And what he's actually talking about is someone who is not interested in you, not interested enough to come over and talk to you and to show their interest, someone who's more aloof. And he's actually encouraging women to go after that sort of guy or that sort of person. And he's saying that there's something wrong if you're not feeling like you want to go after someone who is a bit more challenging and who doesn't need you. And I just want to be super, super, super clear. If someone is acting like that, they're acting challenging and as if they don't need you, and they're not actually showing their interest in you, you're going to have a tough time with that person. Don't feel the need to pursue those people or to try and get them interested. If they were interested, and if they were a good partner, they would be putting effort into making something happen with you. And this is a massive, massive problem that I see with Matthew Hussey's advice. He's encouraging women to be really proactive, and he paints it as a good thing. And being proactive can be a very good thing if you're proactive in the right way. But when you're being proactive about someone who is not actually expressing their interest in you, that is a huge problem, because you are going to be on the back foot. You're going to be stuck with someone whose default position is not to, be open and vulnerable with you and put effort into the relationship. And that the person who is willing to be vulnerable and put effort in and put themselves out there and willing to show their feelings to you is the kind of person who's actually going to make a good partner. Someone who's challenging and aloof and doesn't need you is not going to be a good partner. I'm telling you that right now. You know, they're going to be hard work, and it's going to cause you a lot of strife, you know, a lot of anxiousness and strife in trying to make that relationship work 9 times out of 10. I'm not saying in 100% of cases, but it's not a good bet.
You know, is more independent, because that feels vulnerable. That, you know, it's like that person could reject me. You know, this person who's driven, motivated, ambitious, and kind, that person has options, and that person can reject you. Sorry to interrupt.
That person has options, and okay, fine. But do you really want to be with someone who sees themselves as having options? Do you want to be with someone who is constantly thinking about all the options that they have? Or do you want to be with someone who's crazy about you? Someone who really wants you, wants to be with you? Um, I, I know which one I'd rather choose. And I have lots of experience in this area. And I can honestly tell you for a fact that a person who is devoted to you, who wants to be with only you, and who isn't always thinking about their other options is a much, much, much better partner. And that is a fact. You can take that advice to the bank. So it looks like Matthew Hussey has now interrupted his video to bring us some sort of message. So let's hear what he has to say.
The video, but if you're watching this and your love life is a priority for you this year, you want to meet your person.
What do you want to bet that this is the sales pitch for his retreat? Any takers? As I say, I haven't watched this video before. Anyone want to bet me anything? No, I think we already know where this is going. Let's wait and see. I don't know for a fact, but I'd be interested to find out if I'm right.
I have a free training called Dating with Results that is going to help you do that, and you can watch it.
Oh, he's got another free training. Do you guys remember the last free training, the 30-day challenge, and where that led? So it's not a direct sales pitch for the retreat, but the free training is going to be a sales pitch for the retreat. Does anyone want to bet me? And if it's not a sales pitch for the retreat, it's going to be a sales pitch for something else. I mean, I don't even have to attend the free training to know that that's what it is. This is the same desperate sales strategy he uses in every single video. Anyway, moving on.
Right now, all you need to do to sign up is go to datingwithresults.com. I'll see you over there. And now let's get back to the video. And it's scary being around people that we feel like it's not in the bag.
You know why it's scary? Do you know that scariness, that sense of anxiety that you feel with people who are not in the bag, is because you are in a kind of weaker position with them because they haven't made their interest in you clear. They're not showing you that you are a priority to them, and that they are as invested in it as you are. When you're with someone who's really into you, who is invested in you, who wants to progress things with you, it doesn't feel scary. It feels really relaxing and easy. And he's painting this scary feeling as if it's something good, that it's as if it's something we should go for. Don't go for that unless you want to be truly stuck in relationships that don't work for one reason or another. Don't follow this scary feeling. I can honestly tell you from someone who has been there, do not stick it out with people who make you feel scared, who are making you constantly worried that they're going to reject you. Those people are not as into you as they should be. You deserve someone who really wants to be with you, who's not going to make you feel anxious and scared, someone who is going to be consistent and loving and caring, and who's going to make it very clear how interested in you they are. You deserve that. This is absolutely horrible advice.
It's not, they don't need us for to be their caretaker. Uh, they don't need us to be in the driver's seat. They don't need us for our financial status. When we're around someone who doesn't need all of the things that we have kind of come to use as our significance, that's scary.
In a healthy relationship, in a loving relationship, it is normal to need your partner for certain things. Now, it may not be money. Um, it may not be, you know, your beautiful home or your fancy car. Um, but in terms of doing things in the relationship and support and being a team, that is what a healthy, happy relationship is about. And what I see here with Matthew Hussey painting this person, this independent person who doesn't need you and who's challenging, and who's not really that into it and who has options, I see this as someone with an incredibly warped and unhealthy view of relationships. This is the kind of view that I used to have of relationships, where I would think, okay, well, if they don't really need me, I shouldn't really need them, and we're both just these independent people, um, then, and it feels a bit scary, but obviously that means I'm just out of my comfort zone and I should just keep pushing through, even though this doesn't really feel very comfortable or relaxing. I would constantly push through relationships that felt this way until I realized how miserable they made me. Now, I'm not suggesting that a healthy relationship is this codependent mess where you can never be you can't function without each other. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying, and that's not the case. Um, there should be a healthy balance of independence and interdependence in a relationship. It's more like um, this give and take where you are your own individual people, but you lean on each other and you need things from each other in the relationship. That's why the relationship is there. It's there to support you. It's there to help you. And with the right relationship, you really can thrive and succeed so much more than you could on your own, because you can lean on your partner for things and they can lean on you. And it's beautiful. And you don't need to feel like you're being needy or demanding, that it's some kind of unhealthy thing. We're human beings. We're made to be interconnected and we're made to need each other. And so I just think not only is this a really unhealthy message that he's pushing, and we're only 2.5 minutes in, but I also think it says so much about his personal philosophy of relationships and why he himself has not achieved, great success in relationships. That's just my personal opinion and impression. Let's just continue to watch.
You know, I you start by saying you're independent, graduated from a great university, started a career, and became a homeowner at a young age. You saying those things early on in your email suggests to me that that's where you see a decent amount of your value. And when we see something as our value, we often like to find people who that value can create some kind of power with. Where does that give us power? May sound like too evil a word, but where does it give me leverage? And those things, your great university, your career.
I think Matthew Hussey is massively projecting here. I don't necessarily think if you say, I went to this university, I'm a homeowner, I have this great job. I don't think that that necessarily needs to mean that you are looking to leverage that as some kind of power or control over someone else. But I do think it's interesting that he has that interpretation, because it makes me wonder whether that's how he sees himself. He was, very successful at this whole dating coaching gig from a very young age. He's an incredibly wealthy person, and he doesn't miss an opportunity to tell everyone, how successful and how high profile and high status, high value he is. So I just think it's interesting. I don't think it's necessarily true that if you have these achievements, these things that you're proud of, that it necessarily means it. You know, some people are like that. I'm not going to say that's not the case sometimes. Some people are looking to leverage that as kind of a way to feel uh, empowered or valuable in someone else's eyes. But it's not always the case. Sometimes we're just proud of how far we've come in life. Um, and, you know, the right kind of person will also be proud of us and will, you know, let us shine and let us, and you know, hold space for that, and isn't going to require us to choose between kind of being high value, low value, you know, having this whole internal struggle within ourselves. Sometimes you can just be who you are, and the right person should just let you be who you are. You know, Matthew, did you ever kind of consider that?
You're being a homeowner, it gives you a decent amount of leverage with people who need those things. Someone who is wants you to be a caretaker, someone who wants to take advantage of your financial position, someone who's looking for someone to look after them. Those things are going to be leverage to them because that's what they feel they need.
Again, I just think he's projecting here, or I think he's reading into um, what she is saying. She's talking about herself being a homeowner and having gone to a great university. And he is reading into that, that she's going to attract people who want to take advantage of her financial status. Um, yeah, as I say, I think this is his own, my personal impression is that this is his own insecurity coming out. You you don't need to stick around with someone once you feel as if they're taking advantage of you, or that they're only with you for what you can provide financially. The minute you get that impression, you should walk away from that person if you don't feel as if they love you and are with you because they want to be with you personally. You don't need to hide who you are in order to have a relationship with someone who accepts you for who you are. It's just a contradictory message that's coming through here. He's saying that she is talking about these things that she's proud of, her her prestigious university that she went to, and her financial, her achievement in her career, and the fact that she's a homeowner, which are things that are fine to be proud of. Why shouldn't she talk about those things? There's no problem with that, as long as you're not being arrogant about it and, you know, being hubristic. That's obviously a whole different problem. But he's saying that, you know, she is unconsciously attracting those people who will want to take advantage of those things, and that's just not necessarily the case. We meet all kinds of people all the time, and it's up to us to be discerning about who is out to take advantage of us and who is a really genuine person. It's not up to us to hide who we are and kind of disguise those things and downplay them in the hopes that that will attract someone who is not going to take advantage of us. I can't understand why he's saying this.
But somebody else who comes along and sees those things in you, if you're wearing those up front as your badges of honor, that's not going
What
to.
does he mean wearing those things up front as your badges of honor? Is he suggesting that we can't talk about the things that make us who we are, the things that we're proud of, the things that we like talking about? We should be able to be ourselves with people that we date. Otherwise, what's the point? You know, as I say, there's a difference between just being yourself and being proud of what you've achieved, and throwing those achievements in people's faces as a way to get a reaction or to be arrogant about it or to try and get a pat on the back. That's different, you know, and that's something that each person has to decide within themselves. You know, am I just being myself and just letting myself shine in front of this person, or am I trying to get some kind of reaction? Am I trying to um, prove myself to this person in some way? I don't know if that's what he means, but um, it, he's not making it clear.
Track them, because that's not what they need. They don't need to have those. There's no benefit to them other than being with someone that they see as, oh, this is a person who's also doing interesting things. We have some shared values, but achievement isn't shared values. The shared values are the drive, the motivation, the ambition, which is goes back to my first point, is be careful about asking for things that you have to make a distinction between the material and the values that you're looking for. You
Well, he's right about that, and I'm glad he's made this point. So he's talking about ambition, drive, success, and that those aren't necessarily values. Those can be tools to help you get to where you want to be in life. But they're not really values that you should be looking to share with a mate, because those things aren't really relevant in a romantic relationship unless you're looking to build a business together. And even then, it can be a bit, that can be a bit problematic. Um, but so I'm glad he put that in there. Ambition, drive, success, status. Uh, those are uh, those are not have nothing to do necessarily with how someone will treat you and with the sort of partner that they will be. Um, so I'm glad he's issuing this caution.
you may be getting stuck with people that you don't want, but you're comfortable with. You may not want these beta guys who are caretakers and take the back seat, but you may be comfortable with those guys. Those guys might.
So Matthew Hussey is just going ahead and embracing the stereotype about beta guys who are caretakers and saying that that might not be what you want. You're the successful woman and you might not want these guys, but they might just feel comfortable to you. By the way, what's wrong with being comfortable? What's wrong with being with a caretaker? You know, a good loving relationship should involve some caretaking. We all need to be taken care of sometimes. And a a loving partner, someone who is willing to take care of you, is someone who can make you happy over the long run. Um, Not wanting someone who is taking care of you is a problem in and of itself, and he's not picking that up. He's not picking up that this woman is saying, well, she doesn't want these beta guys who are caretakers. What does that say about her? What does that say about her issues? That she doesn't want someone who is willing to take care of her. That's a problem. That's a sign of emotional unavailability, as much as, you know, this woman might not realize it, and Matthew Hussey clearly himself doesn't realize it. And my personal theory is because he has the same hang up. You know, he also is somewhat emotionally unavailable, in my humble opinion. Um, if you are turned off by people who are caretakers, people who want to love you, people who want to take care of you, people who want to prioritize you, that is a problem that you need to look into and work through, preferably with a professional. And, you know, if you are consistently drawn to people who don't need you, people who are challenging and independent and who are not interested in being a caretaker or not interested in being really emotionally available and supportive in the relationship, that is something that you need to work through, because a successful relationship is one that involves caretaking. It's a good relationship is one where we are able to sacrifice for one another, and it's not just these two people who are just these independent shooting stars. That all sounds good in theory. It all sounds very exciting and romantic, and we might romanticize that and think that's what we want. But that kind of relationship leads to misery. Trust me.
Make you feel safe. You don't have to be vulnerable with those guys, because those guys are not going to reject you.
Again, he's demonizing a relationship that makes you feel comfortable and safe. Comfort and safety are incredibly important in a relationship. You should be gravitating towards people who make you feel comfortable and safe. Those are good things. A good relationship should be safe. It shouldn't be filled with uncertainty and instability and doubt and not knowing and, where do I stand with this person? That will drive you crazy, and it's a recipe, as I keep saying, it's a recipe for unhappiness over the long run, I promise you.
But someone who has these things you say you're looking for, they could reject you. And I want you to be honest with yourself and say, how much am I going over to making conversation with the kinds of people in the room who could reject me, who could decide that I'm not offering enough? How much am I doing that in my life? Am I even in the rooms where people like that are? Because
Am I even in the rooms where people like that are? What on earth does that mean? Are you saying that these people who could potentially reject you, these challenging people who might not really need you, that Matthew Hussey is suggesting we should all be going out and, we should be going out of our comfort zones and talking to these people and trying to create something with someone who hasn't expressed the slightest bit of interest in us? He's suggesting that they all hang out in certain places and that we're not going to those places. Like, how does that even make sense? There are all kinds of people around us all the time. Some of them are interested in us, some of them aren't. Some of them are, high value in Matthew Hussey's eyes, some of them are not high value. I think that the whole way of categorizing people is a load of absolute BS. But, these are the terms that Matthew Hussey is using. But this is just nonsense. There are all kinds of people around us all the time. And it goes back to the problem I always have with his advice. He is pushing people to think and feel like there's something that they're not doing, that there's something they should be doing that they're just not seeing, that they're failing to recognize, that there's something terribly wrong with them. And I think this sends people, chasing their tails and round and round in circles in miserable relationships, really. You know, Obviously this woman's problem is not that she doesn't know who she's attracted to. She knows who she's attracted to, but it hasn't led to happiness, clearly, or else she wouldn't be writing to Matthew Hussey in the first place. And he is trying to encourage her to keep pursuing those supposed high value guys and putting herself in a position to be rejected. This is not a recipe for happiness, I can assure you.
I can say from experience, you can feel like a big shot in life until you're in certain rooms. And that doesn't just, I'm not just talking about achievement here. I'm talking about intelligence. I'm talking about people with real wisdom or experience. We can feel like we're so, if we feel we're so smart, and we're like really enamored with how smart we are, we're probably not in rooms with people who are that smart, because there's definitely rooms you can go into where you just
Again, oh, I'm sorry, my microphone seems to be slipping. Just bear with me. Again, I can't help but feel that this says more about Matthew Hussey's own insecurity than it does about this person who's writing into him or about anyone in his audience. He's projecting his own fears about himself and, about needing to be with a partner who challenges him and who he sees as in some way kind of superior or out of reach. And I really do genuinely believe that that is something that he struggles with. Because most emotionally unavailable people do this, and they don't realize that they're doing it, but they strive to be with people who seem a little bit unattainable to them, who make them feel as if they've really won a prize if they can get this person. And what they completely fail to realize is that true happiness actually comes from being with someone who loves us, someone who treats us well, someone who consistently makes us feel like the prize and not them, we both, in a good, happy relationship, both people feel as if they've won a prize. It's not one person like just pathetically chasing after the other person to feel that they've won this really superior, high value person. That is not a happy relationship. That is a relationship that is doomed to anxiety and misery, I promise you. A good relationship is one where we learn to fall in love with loving behavior, loving, respectful treatment. We learn to really value the people who value us, who treat us well, because that is what creates contentment and happiness on a daily basis. We're not constantly chasing after someone. And I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't value things like intelligence and wisdom and someone who's interesting and successful and ambitious in their own way, or that you shouldn't want someone who you're attracted to, that you shouldn't want a certain level of chemistry. All those things are all, those are perfectly fine to want and to have in a relationship. But the most important thing is how that person treats you, because that is what is going to actually lead to happiness over the long run. And that is what Matthew Hussey doesn't seem to realize. And I actually feel really sorry for him. I really do. But I feel more worried for his audience, whom he is spewing his insecurity and his warped view of relationships to.
just realize, oh my God, I'm a Neanderthal. Like, this is extraordinary what these people know or how sharp these people are. Like, this is not, I know.
Don't be around people who make you feel like a Neanderthal, please. Don't be around people who make you feel like you're an insignificant little peon. Really, no one is that great, that amazing, that intelligent and wise, that successful, that they have a right to make you feel 2 inches tall. This is not healthy advice that he's giving. In healthy interactions with people, things should be more equal. Yes, you can respect someone's wisdom. Yes, you can respect someone's intelligence. You can respect what they bring to the table, and you can show your admiration, but it shouldn't make you feel down on yourself. It shouldn't make you feel like you are just only too grateful and lucky to be in their presence. This is just so, as I said, so warped and wrong. And I'm very, concerned that he's giving this kind of advice.
No longer feel like my level of intelligence is impressive. There are rooms you can go into like that. So anytime someone says to me, I'm just always around people I'm not impressed by, I almost want to politely and warmly and compassionately suspect them and say, why is that? Because there are definitely rooms where you will not feel impressive. There are definitely.
This is reminding me of the sort of advice that Jordan Peterson and, the likes of Grant Cardone and that ilk of people give. People who are always saying that you should be surrounding yourself with people who are more successful than you, and you shouldn't even be concerned with people who are, you shouldn't be hanging around with people who are less successful than you, and that you should only be around rich and famous and, you know, really impressive people all the time. It's and only those people are worth your time, and you should constantly be feeling like you're striving to live up to the people around you. That's not healthy. I know it's the type of garbage that motivational speakers and coaches like Matthew Hussey like to spew out, um, because it makes people feel like they've got something to work towards. And generally, people who seek out the advice of people like Matthew Hussey are a bit down on themselves, and they want things that they can strive towards and things that they can, beat themselves up over, and they want to be able to feel inferior. They feel inferior, and they want to keep reaching for that next thing that they can be doing in order to feel good enough. And the honest truth of the matter is, you are already good enough. You really are. You are good enough. You are acceptable as you are. And that's not to say that you can't strive for more success and that you can't have ambition and that you can't have goals. Of course you can. That's great. It's great to do that. But it's about loving and accepting yourself and already seeing yourself as enough. And the people around you should see you as enough as well. You should not be surrounding yourself with people who talk down to you and who make you feel unimpressive and like a little nobody. That is not good for your self-esteem. It really, really isn't. And you definitely should not be with a partner who makes you feel that way. That is a one-way ticket to low self-worth.
Definitely rooms where people are doing more than you, have achieved 1,000 times more than you, are much brighter than you, have much more experience than you, need you a lot.
By the way, I'm also not saying that you can't learn from other people, because you absolutely can and you should. It's wonderful to draw on the wisdom and experience of other people, especially people who really know what they're talking about, and who are balanced and who give really great advice. Of course, you can draw on that sort of knowledge. But it's about how you see yourself in relation to those people. That's what I find harmful about what he's saying. He's encouraging you to see yourself as just a little nobody and as someone who's almost not worth um, breathing the same air as these people. And yet at the same time, he's encouraging women to strive to set themselves up to be rejected by these impressive people, that they should be trying to get these people's interest and going and talking to those people. He's not wording it just like that, but I mean, that's the gist of what he's saying. He's saying, these people might not be impressed by you. They might not be showing their interest in you, but put yourself out there anyway. Just see what happens. What could possibly go wrong?
Lot less than you need them, like that. There are rooms like that. I'm not suggesting that you should spend your life in rooms like that, but
Well, good.
if we're always finding that we're around people or being asked out by people who we're not that uh, impressed by, then something might be going on with us that we're.
Can he quantify what he means by aren't that impressed by? Because is he just talking about intelligence and success and financial wealth? Why can we not be impressed by how someone treats us? What if someone treats us like gold? What if someone is extraordinarily kind? What if someone is extraordinarily patient and compassionate? What if someone just is incredibly good at handling people and just really, really, you know, moves through the world in a way that they just make the world a better place in the way that they treat others? Why can we not feel impressed by that? Why does it have to be this whole thing of we need to be impressed by how much money or status or intelligence or success a person has or how much they've achieved. To me, some of the most impressive people are those who are very, very even-tempered and patient and empathetic and kind and loving and respectful of others, no matter what the situation. To me, that is truly impressive. I genuinely feel impressed by people like that, because so many people who are, successful in a material sense, have achieved that kind of success by sacrificing a lot of their humanity many of them, if not most of them, have had to compromise their character and their values somewhere along the way. I mean, show me an incredibly wealthy, successful person who's achieved all the things that Matthew Hussey's talking about here, who also treats other people as if they're something special. I've never met such a person. So just be careful when you talk about what those that you find impressive and people who give you something to be impressed by. I would challenge you to think about what it is that you are being impressed by and what it is that you see as a true achievement.
Continuing to put ourselves around these safe people while complaining that we're not around the kinds of people that would light us up.
Here he goes, he's demonizing safe people again. Safe people are wonderful. We all need safe people. Probably most of us could do with a lot more safe people in our lives. The safe people are the ones who are going to be there for us over the long run. Do you not think that these impressive people that Matthew Hussey is talking about won't drop you like that if, something more important to them comes up? Those are not the kind of people who are going to prioritize you or the friendship or the relationship. The minute you lose value in their eyes, they'll drop you. Those are safe people, are really our support network. They're the people who provide us with a proper foundation from which we can succeed in life.
But deep down, we're terrified of being rejected by. And
fear of rejection is actually a healthy thing. I feel like I keep saying this, but Matthew Hussey is great at demonizing emotions, especially fear. Everyone feels fear, and fear can be is a normal and healthy feeling. Fear of rejection is valid and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a good idea to continuously put yourself in situations where you can be rejected. Now, if it's a career goal where you are, where it doesn't matter to you if you are applying for a job or applying to get something done in your career, and you get rejected over and over again, sometimes that can just be par for the course. That's something that we kind of have to toughen ourselves to, and we have to just go through in order to achieve a certain goal. But when you're talking about your emotional well-being in a romantic relationship, putting yourself in a position to be rejected over and over again is not a good strategy, because the danger is that you might wind up with someone who is lukewarm about you. They might agree to go out with you, but they don't prioritize you. They don't treat you how you truly deserve. And you might hang on in that relationship and waste, months or even years with someone who's never crazy about you, never will be crazy about you, who has never treated you like you were truly, truly special and important to them. And that's what everyone deserves, I believe.
The last thing,
I mean, everyone deserves to have someone who treats them like they're truly important and special. You don't want to be with someone who is always treating you as if you're just, incidental and like second place, and as if you can always just be blown off for something more important. And that's the danger when you get into a relationship with someone who is never crazy about you from the get-go.
Thing that I'll say on all of this is I believe you when you say that you're very feminine, kind, fun to be around. But I think that it's important that you lead with those things. Semantics, we think, when you look at semantics in sentences, it's about the order of the words, and the order of the words can completely change the meaning of a sentence. Well, semantics can be applied to attraction too. What are the semantics of what you're leading with versus what someone gets to know about you as they get to know you more? Because those semantics will have a major effect on what you attract or whether you.
I just think this is a classic example of dating coach word salad. This advice is so confusing. He's talking about the fact that he believes her when she says she's feminine and kind and fun to be with. But then he's implying that she doesn't lead with those qualities and that she needs to change her behavior so that she's leading with those qualities. Well, how does Matthew Hussey know that she's not leading with those qualities? I mean, after all, it seems like she has no trouble meeting guys who do think she's pretty great. She's meeting these guys who are clearly crazy about her. They just might not be the kind of guys that she wants. And that's fair enough. But how does he know that she isn't leading with her being kind and fun and feminine and all that sort of thing? Also, I mean, is he suggesting that she should emphasize those qualities more and kind of like mold and manipulate and change herself so that she's pushing certain qualities out into the forefront and making other qualities a bit quieter? I don't know. I don't think you should be doing that. I think you should be yourself so that you can find someone who is going to accept you for yourself. And if her achievements and her work is something that she loves talking about, she shouldn't feel as if she needs to hide that and push other qualities forward so that the right people are going to like her more, because eventually she's going to revert back to who she really is. And that person then might not like the change. You want to be able to be yourself and be comfortable being yourself with someone right from the start so that you can continue, you can start as you mean to continue. I also just want to point out that it's a really good strategy in dating to reveal yourself slowly. Don't feel as if you have to put it all out there right at the beginning. And that you have to be worrying about like manipulating your personality. It's way too early when you first met someone to be worrying about, am I being too this? Am I being too that? Am I not letting these qualities shine enough? It's if you're worrying to that extent, then you're either not with the right person, you're with someone who's making you feel nervous and insecure, and it's possibly just not a good fit, or you're just showing too much too quickly. And I personally believe that it's not a good idea to be that invested that early on, that you're worrying so much about how you're coming across. You should be able to be comfortable, and you should be able to let yourself ease into things naturally and let your true self shine through bit by bit. And you should be able to be yourself all along, and not, if the right person will stick around. The wrong people will be put off by all these things that Matthew Hussey's talking about.
Attract people, or whether you attract the right people. There's semantics at play when a guy who's made a ton of money. I rocked up to a doctor's office recently, and this was in LA. And for those of you that aren't aware of what LA can be like, there's a lot of doctors and dentists with pictures on the wall of famous people that have come to their surgeries or have come to their, get their teeth done, because that's like a status play in LA. And I remember going to this doctor, and this doctor had a video playing in the lobby of them driving fancy cars and being, just in these expensive suits. And the whole thing was like a beauty campaign and a look how much money I make campaign for this doctor. And what's funny about it is I immediately thought, I don't know that I'm going to resonate with this doctor. I immediately thought, this is so materialist. I'm in this place about something health-wise, and yet this is so materialistic that...
I mean, I think it is weird. It is weird for a doctor to have videos playing of himself driving fancy cars and wearing fancy suits. That is freaking strange. I mean, LA must be a pretty strange place. It's giving me the giggles.
I just don't know that I'm going to vibe with this person. And I had this immediate feeling upon showing up that I wanted to leave. Now, this doctor, by the way, was immensely qualified. So it's not like this doctor couldn't do the job that I was there for. But something about what this doctor was leading with made me want to run for the hills.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and you guys may not agree with me. I do think it's weird that the doctor had videos playing of himself wearing fancy suits and driving fancy cars and being flashy and all the rest. That is strange. I don't know why a doctor would do that. It makes no sense to me personally. But at the same time, if you know that the doctor is qualified, that he's a good doctor, he has all the expertise to sort out whatever health problem you have, why would you let that put you off? To me, this says more about Matthew Hussey's own hang-ups than it does about the doctor. I mean, obviously this doctor is a little bit eccentric, and I would find it weird as well, but I don't think it would make me trust them as a doctor any less. So it wouldn't make me run out of there, screaming, not wanting them to treat me. I just think it's... Look, I think a healthy person, a balanced person, someone who's seeing this kind of thing for what it is, would just be able to look past the weirdness of the videos playing in the lobby. I don't really understand what Matthew Hussey is saying here, that it made him not resonate with the doctor. Why do you need to resonate with your doctor? Do you need to agree with their personal values? No. All they need to do is treat your health issue. How they are as a person really has nothing to do with it. So, as I say, I just think this says a bit more about Matthew Hussey's own hang-ups and his own kind of warped philosophies than it does about the wrongness of the situation.
The actual hills in LA, because that would be the wrong place to run to if I was trying to get away from all of that. But it immediately, it turned me off. The irony is, when I met this doctor, he was lovely. I got on well with him. He was like a nice guy, very clued up, very informative, but I almost...
Right, so what does that say then, Matthew Hussey, about your prejudices? The fact that you were put off by the video in the lobby, which was weird, and I think maybe a lot of us might have been put off by that. But again, it has nothing to do with what kind of doctor he is, and it doesn't even matter what kind of person he is. As long as he is a decent doctor, that's really all you should be concerned about. isn't it? I hope Matthew Hussey at least learned something from this situation. I hope he's not encouraging everyone to have the same kind of hang-ups as he does.
Most left because this is what this person led with. And I thought, you know what, these aren't my values. So
But do you really want to be with someone who's going to almost leave just based on something, silly that just doesn't sit right with them? I know people like this, plenty of people like this, who will just, who will walk away from a situation without giving someone a proper chance, and who will be put off by very small things, and who won't see who will reject someone for silly reasons or without giving them a chance. Do you really want to be with someone like that? Do you really want to be so concerned with how you're coming across that you are, you know, you are trying to make as many people as possible like you? Like, obviously, you should try to be an approachable person. I mean, you should try to be a pleasant person. I think that goes without saying. But you should also just be yourself. That's the surest way to find someone who is going to accept you for who you are.
that to me is a semantic problem. They're not leading with how.
It's not a semantics problem, Matthew, because that doctor has his own reasons for why he has that video in the lobby. And he might be trying to target people who would actually like that sort of thing. Did you ever consider that? Maybe you are not the person he is actually trying to target. You're a British person, you have very different ideas of what is acceptable social behavior or acceptable behavior for a doctor's office. They may do things totally differently in LA. Did you ever consider that? Maybe that doctor is being exactly who he is, and maybe he doesn't need to change. He's obviously doing just fine without your advice.
Astute they are or how much they care about the customer. They're leading with, look how much money I've made as a doctor. In attraction, there are many different examples of that. One of the examples is when we lead with how many different impressive things there are about us. Let me lead with how much I've achieved. Let me lead with how high status I am. Let me lead with the fact that I'm a homeowner or that I graduated from a great university.
I've been on dates with people like that, with guys like that, who lead with those sorts of things. And it is often something that people do out of nervousness. They want to make a good impression. They want to seem impressive. They want you to like them. They want you to feel impressed by them. But I see it for what it is. I see it as just an attempt, like a clumsy attempt to try and win me over, a clumsy attempt to impress me, an attempt to seem confident. And generally what I do is I just let it play out, and I wait for it to blow over, because it inevitably does. As someone feels more relaxed, so their true selves and their deeper selves come out eventually. That initial stuff, the impressive stuff, is just generally just a front at the beginning, and eventually, more of the real person comes through. And I just wait for the person to feel comfortable enough to reveal themselves to me. And so what I want to say to Matthew is, he's suggesting that we shouldn't be trying to impress people right at the beginning. We shouldn't be trying to put all our achievements front and center when we meet a new person. I mean, I'm saying, do you really want a person who is so easily put off that you trying to impress them with all the things that you've done and achieved is going to make them, run screaming in the opposite direction? I don't really want to be with a person like that. I want to be with someone who's going to actually give me a chance, someone who is not so easily put off. Did you ever think about it from that point of view, Matthew?
That I have a high flying career. Let me lead with these things. And then we create a semantic problem, because you're saying I'm also very feminine, kind, and fun to be around. I don't know you, so I don't know to what extent this is happening, but I could imagine a world where people are seeing up front these things that aren't those, What they're seeing is all of these ways that you're sort of outwardly impressive, but not the femininity, the kindness, that you're generally fun. You said people that know you describe.
God, this is so painful. Those people who would be put off by that, who would only see your achievements and your intelligence and your success and the fact that you're a homeowner, and they're not even giving you a chance to show any of your other qualities. They're not even seeing the rest of who you are. Those are insecure people. Those are people who are not really, who are too unsure of themselves to be around someone who has achieved a lot of things, because all they can see are these achievements, and to them that's what defines you. But a truly secure person who's confident in themselves, someone who is willing to give you a chance, someone who wants to get to know you, will see past those things, will see your kindness and your femininity and your fun to be aroundness. Again, I just think this says a lot more about Matthew Hussey's own hang-ups than it does about anything else.
You as alpha, that tells me something about what you're putting forward. So
this whole thing of alpha and beta is just complete nonsense. It's complete garbage. It really, really is. It's a whole system devised by insecure people who need to categorize people in this way, and who are only capable of assessing people based on just a few criteria, and then pigeonholing them. And I really just encourage you to stay as far away as possible from any dating coach who talks about alpha and beta people and high value and low value people. It's a massive red flag.
If we reverse the semantics and said, okay, I'm going to be feminine and kind and fun to be around. That's my first priority when I meet someone. And
how does he know she's not doing that?
I'm going to let my success sneak up on them. There are people in my life who are way smarter than me, and I feel really smart when I talk to them, because they're not leading with their smarts. They're leading with their curiosity and their interest in me. And
being intelligent is not something to be ashamed of. And no, you shouldn't be throwing it in other people's faces as a way to make them feel bad about themselves. But the right people won't feel bad about themselves around an intelligent person. You don't have to hide your light under a bushel the whole time in order to make people like you. You can be intelligent and also be likable. And you don't have to disguise the fact that you're intelligent. I promise. The right people will still like you anyway, despite your intelligence and success. This is so back to front. It really is.
they're smarter than me, but they make me feel smart because they don't lead with how smart they are. They wear their own intelligence lightly, but they're excited.
Okay, but again, that is actually a type of intelligence. To me, that would be emotional intelligence, and that is a way of being intelligence, is to put other people at ease, and it is very important. And so these people he's talking about, those who are more intelligent than him, and yet they help him to feel intelligent in their presence. That's emotional intelligence. That's not just, there's more than one kind of intelligence. You could be mathematically intelligent. You could be intelligent when it comes to languages or science. You can be emotionally intelligent. There are different ways of being intelligent. And it's not that you need to try and hide your intelligence, or that you can't show how bright you are or how much you know. But it's more that if you want other people to like you, you don't want to be hiding your intelligence, but you just want to be infusing perhaps more kindness, more charm into your interactions with people. It's not about making parts of yourself smaller. It's about helping other people to feel good. But that is not mutually exclusive with being intelligent and successful and having achievements that you're proud of. It's if anything, I would say it's more about being a good listener. It's about being interested in other people, about seeing other people as equals. Just because someone might be more intelligent than you doesn't mean they're better than you. And you know, the right kind of people recognize that we're all equal and we're all strong in different ways. And I just think it's so sad the way Matthew Hussey talks about himself. He talks about himself as being so much, you know, as if other people are so much smarter than he is, and he walks into rooms where he just feels so inferior and he just feels like such a Neanderthal. It's not how we should be seeing ourselves or other people. We're all equals. We're all strong in different areas. And the healthy way to look at it is that, yes, this person might be more intelligent than me, but I have other things that I bring to the table and I'm strong in other ways.
About hearing what I have to say. That is, to me, that's a different level of mastery than just being intelligent. It's semantics.
Well, it's being a good communicator. It's being a good listener. It's not semantics. It's knowing the art of conversation, the art of charm, and the art of making other people feel comfortable. It's not about making yourself smaller. That's not what it's about. Or leading with different qualities. It's about knowing how to put other people at ease.
These things that you think make you impressive, and that's what you lead with. And does that need to be moved to later so that that stuff sneaks up on people? And your deeper values, your personality, the things that make you really pleasant to be around, those are the things that announce themselves loudly when someone meets you.
I'm sorry, I just don't agree. You don't have to change who you are or be, you know, try and make some parts of yourself smaller and other parts of yourself bigger in order to attract someone, because you know inevitably you're going to change and they're going to expect you to still be the way that you were in the beginning, and you're not going to feel comfortable the whole time that you're trying to just kind of do these gymnastics within yourself and make sure that you're saying the right thing. It's not worth it. You can't, it's not a good way to meet a person who is actually going to accept you and who's going to be able to see you as an equal, which is really how relationships should be. That you should be a team. You should be two people who are able to thrive as your best selves. You shouldn't be constantly worrying that parts of you are going to make the other person feel intimidated and bad and all this kind of thing.
And by the way, this isn't something that I would be saying to a woman and not a man. This to me is a non-gendered point. I'd be saying this to anybody who came to me. I think it's part of what makes us likable in life. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, go check out my free training, Dating with Results. If finding your person is a priority for you this year, if your love life is something that you are sick and tired of waiting on, you want it to happen now so that you can enjoy it, go to datingwithresults.com. It is a free training that gives you a roadmap. Go check it out at datingwithresults.com.
Right, so there we have his plug for his free training, which I think we all know is just going to be another sales pitch for the retreat or some other product. Right, so that was that. What did you guys think of that advice? Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. I'm always keen to hear everyone's opinions. But I just feel that it's really important for me to point out how fraught with problems advice like this can be, from someone who claims to be like the leading dating expert, this is the kind of thing that we're seeing, and I think it's really problematic and harmful, and it has the potential to create such big self-esteem problems. So I didn't know what I was walking into when I started watching that video, and it was honestly just much worse, I think, than anything, than a lot of what I've seen from him. So that was unfortunately a bit disappointing and concerning. But anyway, I'm gonna say good night to you all, and I will see you next time. Bye.